nominated for recorded event, which includes members outside the band that helped record on that, Standing on the Edge of Letting Go.
Tim O'Brien and Rob Ikes.
Yes, so that's a little sample of Washington, D.C. bluegrass. Now I'm eager to hear the Grass Cats, who are renowned throughout the world as being a North Carolina band.
They're coming up in just a couple minutes.
Coming up in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I'm Keith Weston from Back Porch Music on WUNC. You just heard the voice of Katie Daly from WAMU, and also Lee Michael Dempsey from WAMU Bluegrass Country.
You know, it's great that we're sharing the airwaves on this program between WUNC and WAMU's Bluegrass Country. Both the areas are really rich in bluegrass and old-timey music. DC has been known as the bluegrass capital of the world in years gone by, and still is very strong, especially when you hear Frank Sullivan and Dirty Kitchen really representing us very well. North Carolina has been wonderful for this type of traditional music, and Asheville especially has been in the forefront in recent times too. So many great bands out of North Carolina and great musicians out of North Carolina, and we're glad to share this broadcast and this great musical heritage here tonight.
And we'll be featuring two of them over this next hour of music tonight, Big Medicine and also the Grass Cats, here on our very special broadcast this evening. And Lee, you and I were talking a little bit earlier about sort of assessing the state of bluegrass, and
I think it's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
There's there's the traditional wing and the contemporary and progressive wing, and there's been a little bit more drums getting into some of the recent recordings, and electric basses and what have you. And you know, some people panic and others don't, but it's all good. I mean, the big tent is kind of what they're calling it, and you know, people have different opinions. I think, you know, we need to keep it somewhat close to the original bluegrass, but it's okay to stretch the boundaries some too, and I think it's healthy. So.
Well, we're going to be listening to bluegrass throughout the evening here on this very special broadcast, WAMU Bluegrass Country and WUNC this evening, and we appreciate you being around for this special broadcast. You can find out more about it on our individual websites, and we'll be having some more bluegrass coming up here in just a moment.
Wow, you were good.
Good. He's a pro.
I'm a nasal drop kind of guy.
Sitting here far away.
You still play vinyl?
Yeah.
Sitting
About
here
30%
far
more.
away
much.
from the place I'd
You
rather
probably play 5% for most.
Yeah.
Do the ID.
Oh, you have to do the ID.
Do you? No, you. Yeah, she's got it.
This is WAMU's Bluegrass Country from American University on 105.5 FM and 88.5 WAMU HD Channel 2, Washington, D.C., and on 93.5 FM in Frederick and Hagerstown, Maryland, streaming worldwide at bluegrasscountry.org.
Listening to a very special evening of bluegrass here on WUNC and WAMU Bluegrass Country. Good evening, I'm Keith Weston. You can normally hear me Sunday evenings on Back Porch Music on WUNC North Carolina Public Radio. In just a moment, we have music that will be continuing for you throughout the evening as we're broadcasting live from IBMA. That's the International Bluegrass Music Association, which is in town for the next several days. There are all kinds of events going on at night. There are all kinds of conferences that are going on throughout the day that are getting the musicians up to speed on what's the business of bluegrass, which is also an important part of this whole thing. We have the Grass Cats from North Carolina coming up here on WUNC, and we have them in the studio right now. We're excited to have North Carolina representing tonight, and good to have you guys along. Thanks for coming around.
It's our pleasure. Very excited to be here.
Yeah. Russell, you heard the voice of Russell Johnson, who is mandolin player with Grass Cats, and it's my understanding that you had a good bit to do with the committees that brought IBMA to Raleigh. Can you tell me a little about it?
Well, I did work with the local organizing committee, and that was probably over 50 people from government to musicians and just all sorts of people involved on trying to make the event great for everybody that came here, and people from the convention center and the visitors bureau, and so I worked on that for about the past 12 months.
And Grass Cat's been playing for, what, the last decade and a half? How long has it been now?
Well, this November will be 16 years.
16 years.
That's a long time.
And You will be playing coming up at the Wide Open Bluegrass coming up this
We
weekend.
actually kick everything off.
You're gonna blow it wide open. That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah. We're going to kick everything off at the Red Hat Amphitheater at 11:45 on Friday. But actually, music will start, I think, maybe at 10 or 11.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. in the Convention Center, which is part of the ticketed event of the Wide Open Bluegrass Festival. That's on Friday. And Saturday, the festival's Friday and Saturday.
And there'll be lots of things to do out on the streets. Will be closed down, is my understanding, and there'll be bands out on bandstands. And you have the pork cooking championship
The North Carolina Whole Hog Pork Cooking Championship, and you know I'm excited about that. So,
yeah, yum yum.
And it's the Wide Open Bluegrass Street Festival will be several streets closed downtown. It's Friday and Saturday. It will include the North Carolina Whole Hog Pork Cooking Championship with several stages of bluegrass music, a youth music tent and stage, and just so much stuff going on for everybody. It's going to be great.
Find out more about that at wideopenbluegrass.com. Wideopenbluegrass.com.
And you guys have played in Nashville before when the IBMA was located there. Any difference on playing on your home turf?
We've only got 25 minutes to talk about it. No, I'm telling you, we did play in Nashville in '07, and it's Music City, but I'm thinking Raleigh's going to be Bluegrass Music City, and I'm just thrilled with how all the preparations have come together for it. It's going to be great.
Well, let's hear a little bit of North Carolina bluegrass from the Grass Cats. Home to Carolina, as the IBMA has come home to Carolina for the next 3 years through 2015 here in Raleigh. And
Maybe
Russell,
longer.
Yeah, it could be longer. We'll have to see.
We might not leave at the end of the week.
I like it so much. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. You're listening to a special broadcast here on WUNC and WAMU Bluegrass Country. Russell, how about introducing us to the rest of the boys here?
I sure will. I'll start with our banjo player. He is in his 4th year with the Grass Cats. He's from Ontario, Canada. Truly making it the international bluegrass that we're having here in Raleigh, so he's representing Canada. This is Dr. Rick LaFleur on the banjo.
Hey, welcome.
IBMA, yeah.
And over here on the guitar, he's our newest member. He's in his 2nd year. He's from Franklin County, not too far from here. That's Alan Mullen on the guitar.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, thank you. Glad to be here.
One of the original members on the fiddle. He started with us when we started the band in '97. He's a senior at NC State. This is Chris Hill.
Hello, Chris.
Thank you very much.
And back here on the bass, that would be our own Tim Woodall.
Yay, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Now, is Tim heard on this radio station?
He's not only, it's on one of our competitors.
Oh,
You won't
who
mention
is
the
he?
public.
Never heard of the guy.
Tim who?
Don't ask the question if you don't know the answer.
That's it.
And now more music here.
Shut up, Katie.
So what's up next? We got
Well, I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
last tune was the first song I ever wrote when I matriculated at UNC Chapel Hill in 1981 in August. I had never been away from the farm for any length of time, and I went up there, and I was as homesick as you could be. And even though I was only 50 miles away, it sounds like 1,000 in the song. But that was home to Carolina. This next tune is one that did real good for us. It's called Bluegrass Man. I remember oh so very well the first time I heard it play. Oh, the banjo and the fiddle and a big old electric bass. Mandolin and guitar, when they were keeping time. And when I heard that harmony, brother, changed my mind. I'm a bluegrass man from head to toe. Love to hear the songs of flat scrubs and Bill Monroe. They can play so fast, they can sing so high. I'm a bluegrass man till the day I die. Now some folks like to rock and roll, buddy, that's just fine. Others like their classical with their cheese and wine. The country that they play today, it just leaves me cold. But when I hear the high lonesome sound, it warms my soul. 'Cause I'm a bluegrass man from head to toe. Love to hear the songs of Flat Scruggs and Bill Monroe. They can play so fast, they can sing so high. I'm a bluegrass man till the day I die. Now when my time on earth is done, friends all gather around, play Rocky Top and Salty Dog when you go to lay you down. Don't be sad, don't shed a tear, I'm listening from above. Oh, take 'em out, tune 'em up, play the music that I love. 'Cause I'm a bluegrass man from head to toe. Love to hear the songs of Flat Scruggs and Bill Monroe. They can play so fast, they can sing so high. I'm a bluegrass man till the day I die. I'm a bluegrass man till the day I die. Thank you, thank you.
Grass Cats here on a special broadcast on WAMU's Bluegrass Country and WUNC. Very special broadcast this evening. So glad to have the folks from WAMU Bluegrass Country here. Katie Daly.
I was wondering,
Yeah.
you know, Do you play primarily around this area? But I know you've wandered as far north as Gettysburg a couple times.
We actually, well,
Made it
Chris, you
past
can.
Gettysburg.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did?
This year we played in Lafargeville, New York, the Thousand Islands Bluegrass Festival up there. So they let us out of North Carolina occasionally. Tim has a little work release issue that he has to work around.
Yeah, and we've also been to Michigan, and we've been Pennsylvania, like you mentioned, and out to Tennessee and Kentucky. So we've played out a little bit, but we'll be doing more of it next year, in fact. But we also like playing in North Carolina a lot.
Well, I can say that your records are really making it up around WAMU, and we have just moved into brand new studios. We have a beautiful performance studio. Let me invite the Grass Cats to make it up to Washington, D.C. Bring this young fellow, this announcer with you, and we'll redo this whole thing again up in Washington. How
That
about
sounds
that?
like a plan.
All
Now,
right.
I'm telling you.
Sounds great.
Well, I guess we're going to move on and feature the banjo player on some banjo music, and we'll get Rick to pick one called Sled Riding. Thank you.
Lee Michael Dempsey, along with Keith Weston and Katie Daly, our special simulcast from Raleigh, North Carolina, with the Grass Cats. That tune called Sled Riding, having nothing to do with snowy weather, named after Dale Sled.
That's right.
He was a musician back, in the primarily the 60s and 70s?
With the Osborns, I think.
Right. Mandolin player?
He's a guitar player, I think, wasn't
Okay.
I'm not sure. I just know it's a good song.
And Russell, you've been involved in other projects, a couple of solo albums, one of them just in the last 2-3 years or so, and one many years ago. Plus, a great band that you had together called New Vintage.
That's right. That goes back a long way, back into the early '90s, and New Vintage had a career from about '89 to 2000. In fact, we played our last show at IBMA in 2000, and the Grass Cats was going at the same time, and so we had got started in 1997, and so we've already eclipsed New Vintage by going 16 years if we make it till November 1st.
I didn't see any fist fighting out in the
No,
lobby,
there's no
so.
fist fighting, but you never know. Just
You had a
kidding.
couple great ladies in the band through the years.
Well, in both bands, in New Vintage, we had Gina Britt and Julie Elkins, both phenomenal banjo players, and then with the Grass Cats, we had a wonderful bass player singer named Robin Burke for years and years and years, and it helps me. I always like the sound of a female singing the tenor over my lead vocal, but I've been fortunate to work with some great players.
We've only got about 12 minutes to go, and a lot of songs on the playlist. I don't know which ones you're going to cut out, but
Ooh, that's a good
whether you
question.
want to do a gospel song or
Let's do a gospel song, and then we want to feature Tim too. We'll get Chris up to the mic right now to sing one called "Somebody Touched Me."
While I was praying, somebody touched me. While I was praying, somebody touched me. While I was praying, somebody touched me. Must have been the hands of our Lord. Glory, glory,
Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. It must have been the hands of our Lord.
While I was singing, somebody touched me. While I was singing, somebody touched me. While I was singing, somebody touched me. Must have been the hands of our Lord. Glory, glory,
Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. It must have been the hands of our Lord.
While I was preaching, somebody touched me. While I was preaching, somebody touched me. While I was preaching, somebody touched me. Must have been the hands of our Lord. Glory, glory,
Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. It must have been the hands of our Lord.
glory, glory.
Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. It must have been the hands of our Lord. It must have been the hands of our Lord.
Grass Cats here on WUNC, WAMU Bluegrass Country. Chris Hill taking the vocals on that. How often they let you get up that close to the mic, Chris?
They used to wouldn't let me talk. So it's a really big step. Now we can't get him to stop talking.
Well, it sounded good tonight. And show of hands, I know this is radio, so I'll do a count. Anybody else first IBMA? No? Well, there are two of us in the room. That includes Alan Mullen from Grass Cats. So we're having a great time here tonight, and I do hope we can do this again in the future. And it's good to hear you guys. And remind us when folks can hear you next, coming up at the Wide Open Bluegrass.
Wide Open Bluegrass Festival on Friday at 11:45, and that's in the Red Hat Amphitheater, and
Here in Raleigh.
Here in Raleigh, and that we'll be kind of kicking it off on the Red Hat stage on Friday.
Are tickets still available?
Katie, they released some earlier this morning, and I just got on the website, and I could have bought one if I'd had any money. So,
But you're a bluegrass musician.
but I know, so I could have bought one. So I'm going to say, at this moment, yes. But I know that when I heard that the call went out that there were tickets available, they said buy them quick because it had essentially sold out. But they released some more that they had held back for artists. So you need to get them now.
Well, people of Raleigh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's what I say.
Now, people can buy some CDs. You've got a number of CDs out as well.
The Grass Cats do. We have 8 CDs, and we actually have some tapes, like if you need to level furniture. You don't need to sell you a cassette tape, but yes, we do, and that's on our website, grasscats.com, www.grasscats.com.
Okay. So we've got time for maybe one or two more, so let's more with the Grass Cats.
We'll get Tim Woodall up here to sing one that's just our mantra and our theme song at our age. It's called Just a Little at a Time.
Country, WAUC. We have to, WUNC, and we have to wrap up here, but I was hoping we could get you to do your chart-topping tune, The Mountains My Baby and Me.
We would be tickled to play that for you, and here's one that did real good for us, and it's a co-write with me and Rick. It's called The Mountains My Baby and Me. Takes me from my home.
so glad to have you in the studio tonight. Thanks for coming in for this very special broadcast, and look forward to seeing you more as you are around North Carolina and coming up this Friday at the Red Hat Amphitheater as well. I'm Keith Weston. You're listening to a special broadcast on WUNC and WAMU Bluegrass Country. We have Big Medicine coming up, some more music from North Carolina in just a few moments. Earlier this afternoon, we had Frank Sullivan and Dirty Kitchen into the studios, and they played us some tunes, and we're going to listen to those now.
Very nice. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate it.
Now, are you
This
running
is a
on?
historic event, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it.
They've never
So-
had music in the studio.
Yeah, you can.
So that, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
very much.
Real, and I can't help but think it's,
Thank you so much for having us.
Give me a damn.
it's gonna touch a lot of people. I mean, they're gonna hear it, so that's great for us.
Oh my God.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, dear.
Lee, thanks a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Are you
throw it
going
right
up
over
to
here.
the
Where are we?
party now?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That's you?
I am.
All right.
After, I'm gonna probably put